She is standing outside the conference room door when she hears him say it. My wife? She's decorative. I built this company with my own 2 hands. The laughter from inside the room curls under the door like smoke. She doesn't move. She doesn't knock. She simply reaches into her coat pocket, pulls out her phone, and opens the shareholder registry. Her name, 92%. She closes the app, straightens her jacket, and walks away. Not because she's broken, because she just decided how this ends. Her name is Claire Weston. She's 43 years old. She lives in a glass and stone house on the edge of Ashford, Connecticut. A house she chose, a house she furnished, a house she paid for in a way that would take her husband 4 years to fully understand. 12 years ago, Claire was a corporate attorney in New Haven with a client list that made senior partners nervous. She billed $400 an hour. She had a waiting list. She had a reputation that preceded her into rooms. Then she met Daniel. Daniel Weston was charm and momentum, a man who talked about ideas the way other people talked about their children. He had a concept for a logistics software company. He had energy and salesmanship and a smile that made investors lean forward. What he didn't have was the legal infrastructure, the equity structure, the IP protections, the operational framework, or the capital strategy to make any of it real. Claire provided all of it. She told herself it was love. She told herself it was a partnership. It was not. She drafted the incorporation documents herself. She structured the shareholder agreement with 92% of equity in her name. A precaution, she thought. Temporary, she assumed. She negotiated the seed round. She filed the patents. She sat across from venture capitalists in rooms that smelled of leather and money and made the case for a company her husband would one day claim he built alone. And Daniel? Daniel shook hands. Daniel gave speeches. Daniel had his name on the website under founder and CEO. Claire's name was nowhere. That was the deal she agreed to. She was building a life, not a legacy. Or so she believed. She should have known the moment she stopped being useful, she would stop being seen. That moment came on a Tuesday, in the form of a perfume she didn't recognize on his collar. The perfume has a name. Claire tracks it down in 40 minutes. A boutique fragrance, $400 a bottle, sold in only 3 stores in the Northeast. She doesn't confront him. Not yet. She has been a lawyer. She knows. Never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. Over the next 6 weeks, she gathers answers. A credit card statement showing a hotel in Greenwich, charged on a night Daniel claimed he was in Chicago. A second phone, prepaid, poorly hidden in the lining of a gym bag, with a contact saved simply as V. Voice messages she listens to once. In her car, parked in a grocery store lot, engine running. The woman's name is Veronica. She is 31. She is a regional sales manager at a firm that does business with Daniel's company. She calls him the real visionary. She tells him he deserves better. She tells him his wife never really understood what he was building. What Veronica doesn't know, what Daniel has apparently chosen to forget, is that Claire Weston is what he was building. Claire sits in her car for a long time after the last message. She doesn't cry immediately. She stares at the windshield where the rain is running in thin lines, and she thinks about a night 11. Years ago, when Daniel came home with a bottle of champagne because they had closed the Series A, he had held her face in both his hands and said, "None of this exists without you." She had believed him. She thinks about her daughter, Nora, who is 9 years old and smells like strawberry shampoo and calls Daniel Daddy the boss. Then she does cry. Once. Quietly. The way a person cries when they know something has ended but haven't yet decided what comes next. When the tears stop, something else takes their place. Something cold. Something organized. Something patient. She starts the car. He thought he had already won. He had no idea what he had just set in motion. Claire does not call a divorce attorney. Not yet. She calls her accountant, Marcus, who has managed her personal finances, separate from the company's, for 9 years. She asks Marcus too. Questions. The first, what is the current market valuation of Western Logistics? The second, what is the precise, legally documented breakdown of the company's equity structure? Marcus answers both without hesitation. Western Logistics is valued at $47 million. Claire Weston owns 92%. She thanks Marcus. She hangs up. She opens her laptop. Here is what Daniel believes. He believes that because his name is on the website, because he attends the board meetings and gives the keynotes and accepts the industry awards, the company belongs to him in any way that matters. He has spent so many years performing ownership that he has forgotten, or perhaps never truly understood, what ownership legally means. Claire understands it precisely. She drafted the documents herself. She spends 3 weeks in quiet, methodical preparation. She retains Marcus Halley, one of the most decorated corporate litigators in Connecticut, paying his retainer from a personal account Daniel doesn't know exists, funded over years from her speaking fees, consulting work, and a small advisory role she has held, discreetly, at a competing firm. She contacts the company's board of directors, all 4 of them, individually and privately, as majority shareholder, not as Daniel's wife, as the person who controls the company. She has her assistant compile a documented record of every legal filing, every patent application, every equity negotiation she performed in the company's first 3 years of existence. The record is 412 pages long. She requests a formal shareholder meeting. As is her legal right, she schedules it for a Friday, the Friday before Daniel's birthday. He has already planned a celebration dinner at Harlow, Ashford's most visible restaurant, with 22 of their closest friends and business associates. He has made reservations. He has ordered a custom cake. Claire does not cancel anything. She RSVPs for the dinner. She orders the dress. Burgundy silk, elegant, the kind that says, "I am not someone you should have underestimated." She calls Nora's school and arranges for her daughter to stay with Claire's mother that weekend. Then she sits down at her desk in the study, the room Daniel calls her craft room, as a joke no one finds particularly funny, and she prepares the document that will change everything. She is calm, she is certain, she is ready. The shareholder meeting is held at 9 a.m. on Friday at the offices of Haley and Brennan on Main Street, Ashford. The conference room on the 14th floor has floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the river. The morning light comes in cold and clean. Daniel arrives 6 minutes late. He is wearing the navy blazer Claire bought him for Christmas 3 years ago. He is smiling, the particular smile of a man who considers himself the most important person in any room. He sees Marcus Halley. His smile shifts slightly. He sees the board members seated along the table. His smile falters. He sees Claire seated at the head of the table, not the side, and something moves behind his eyes, something almost like recognition. "What is this?" he says. "This," Marcus Halley says, "is a formal meeting of the shareholders of Weston Logistics, called by majority shareholder Claire Weston, pursuant to Section 7.2 of the company's shareholder agreement." Daniel looks at Claire. Claire. His voice is low. Warning. A voice she has heard before. The one that means, "Stop this," right? Now, she meets his eyes. She holds them. And quietly, with the absolute stillness of someone who has already won, she says, "Sit down, Daniel." He sits, and the next 40 minutes are the most precisely constructed 40 minutes of Claire Weston's professional life. Marcus presents the equity documentation. 92%. Claire Weston, majority and controlling shareholder. 8%, Daniel Weston, minority shareholder without veto rights. He presents the record of Claire's legal and structural contributions to the company, the patents, the filings, the term sheets. He presents a sworn affidavit from the lead investor of the original Series A round, confirming that it was Claire Weston who negotiated and closed the financing. Daniel interrupts twice. Marcus continues. Then Marcus presents the board with Claire's formal proposal. the immediate restructuring of the company's executive leadership, effective within 30 days, the appointment of an independent CEO, the removal of Daniel Weston from all operational authority commensurate with his 8% minority stake. "You can't do this," Daniel says. His voice is different now, smaller. "She already has," Marcus says. "The votes are in. The majority has spoken." Daniel looks at the board members. They look back at him with the careful, neutral expressions of people who have made their decision and would like this to be over. He looks at Claire. She is gathering her papers. She is placing them in a leather folio. She is unhurried, precise, settled in herself in a way he perhaps hasn't seen in years, perhaps ever. "Claire," his voice breaks on the word, "we can talk about this. Whatever you think you know, I know everything, Daniel." She says it without cruelty, without performance, just fact. "I have known for 6 weeks, and I have been preparing for 12 years. She stands. She picks up her coat. She does not look back. That evening, 22 guests arrive at Harlow Restaurant for Daniel. Weston's birthday dinner. The reservation is still in his name. The cake is still there. The table is beautifully set. Daniel does not come. He is in his attorney's office, learning for the first time what his 8% of a $47 million company actually means in a divorce proceeding when the controlling shareholder has already filed. 3 of the guests at the dinner are investors in Weston Logistics. By Sunday morning, 2 of them have called Claire. 18 months later, Claire Weston is the founding partner of Western Strategic Group, an advisory firm she built from the ground up on her own terms, in her own name. The company is profitable. Her calendar is full. Her name is on the door. Western Logistics has a new CEO, a woman Claire recommended herself. Under the new leadership structure, the company closes a $60 million acquisition the following spring. Daniel Weston receives his 8% in the settlement. He is living in a 2-bedroom apartment in Bridgeport. He's dating someone new, though the word around the industry is that investors no longer return his calls without checking with Claire's office first. Nora spends every other weekend with her father and the rest of her time with her mother in the house on the edge of Ashford, the house Claire chose, the house Claire paid for, the house Claire stayed in. Nora is 10 now. She has started asking her mother about business, about how companies work, about what it means to own something. Claire sits beside her daughter at the kitchen table and explains carefully that ownership is not about who speaks the loudest in the room. It is about who holds the paper. Veronica, by the way, is no longer with Daniel. She left him 3 weeks after the shareholder meeting. Apparently, the visionary was considerably less compelling at 8%. The woman he called decorative owned 92% of everything he claimed to have built. He spent 12 years standing in her shadow and calling it sunlight. She didn't destroy him. She simply stopped holding him up, and gravity did the rest. She didn't lose. She just stopped pretending to lose. Subscribe to Silent Empire for more stories of women who took their power back.